Santiago,
Hey man, what's up?
not much, brother. How you doing?
Good, just living that quarantine life. Haven't shaved in a while, so
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little bit more facial hair.
yeah. No, I feel that. My facial hair, for some reason, I don't grow a beard all the way up my sideburns, but I shaved the bottom of my beard off, and my girlfriend hates when I just leave the mustache like that. So,
Yeah, I kept the bottom part. If I shave it, I can't rock the mustache.
yeah, no, but yeah, man, it's good that everybody's doing well. Family's all good and everything like that. Everyone.
Yeah, family's good. I have two sisters. I have nieces and nephews, and then my family lives here in San Antonio as well. My parents both are still around, still alive. So they're all good. Everybody's been quarantined.
Yeah,
Thank God, no one got sick. I'm quarantined here with my wife.
yeah.
Only time we really leave, like right now, she's about to go to the grocery store and
Okay.
pick up groceries. But that's about the only time we go out.
Gotcha. Yeah, same here. People always ask me, and it's funny because you see a lot of people that work at gyms still going to gyms and things like that. And you're allowed to. You can't have members coming in and then leaving like
Right.
that. But people have been asking me, hey, have you been hitting it real hard, since you have the whole place to yourself right now and all that? And dude, I've been telling them, I'm like, man, I've been very the exact opposite almost. Like I've been very still, excuse me, and golly, that was spicy. And I've been very still and just kind of focused on just getting back to my body. Just because I feel like I've put it through so much through the last 20 what years, and it just felt like it was time to give it a rest. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. So everybody's approaching this thing differently, but it's just good to see. Even though everyone's handling it differently, everyone seems to be more uplifted than I would have thought that we were going to be during something like this. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's good. So,
How long you been doing the podcast thing for?
man, I actually started this in 2016, and
Okay.
so what I was doing, I had with three colleagues, I had a talk show on ESPN down in Houston.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a cool deal, and we just kind of walked in, pitched a show about reaching out to younger athletes in our generation through means of media and everything else, and they
Yeah.
and it went well. We had a nice 8-week run, something like that, and the only issue there was I was paying for that programming time out of pocket, so I just couldn't stick with ESPN. But it triggered
Yeah.
something in myself that I was like, oh, okay, I could do this forever. I love this. And so
Yeah.
I've taken it all different routes, and so now I finally, because I've tried to get it to where it's not so much about just me and my thoughts, but the people around me and the people that I, put around myself. And so I felt like now is the perfect time to start reaching out to everybody. And especially with, me actually being a little bit more involved in the fitness industry now, and having a few more connections like yourself and people that I've actually worked closely with over the last 18, 24 months. Time to start, putting the pressure on, getting those names out there, and keeping that culture going right now, especially with the saturation of what's in our market. So, trying to keep the up and up, on the positive side. And that's why now I'm like, because I have about 100 episodes just like here, there, and everywhere over the last 4 years. So it's just been something that I've always been interested in. It's probably been kind of baited with my dad being a sales executive for a major radio station up here for however long I can remember. So I've always been around that. So
Yeah.
it's a super interesting industry to me, and I love industries that are ever evolving because you constantly have to evolve with it, and it forces you to learn and grow continuously. So it's
That's been
just
this
something.
it's been the fitness industry right now, man.
Yo,
Evolving all the time, every day.
every day, every hour. People can just, I mean, I bet there's so many good ideas out there right now that
Tons.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Tons. I
Speaking of
try to
good
keep up with it,
ideas,
man.
yeah. Speaking of good ideas and keeping up with things, tell me and the people. First of all, introduce yourself so that I can put the proper introduction up there for you, and just give me kind of the HC Fitness mission and the vision, and how this all came about, and where how it got to where it's at now.
Yeah, so so Santiago Gonzales, I started and launched HC Fitness back in it was March 9th, 2019. So really at the time, the vision was about how do we get the fitness community together socially, right? Was really the thought process behind it at the start. So we were like, let's do, some events where we can have these like-minded individuals come out, hang out with one another, maybe build some friendships out of it, and then have like a workout buddy, right? Or partner they can go kind of hang out with, get a workout in with, and not really care about what type of fitness you were in. So whether you were a runner, power lifter, bodybuilder, it didn't really matter, CrossFit, just come out, right? So that's how it started initially, the intent. And then at the same time, we also had the idea of like, as it gets going, eventually we do want to run like fitness competitions, right? Like these different challenges.
Right.
So it's into that actually in the beginning as well. So we ran a few fitness challenges last year. We first kicked off HC Fitness as it continued to grow. And that brought the community even more so together and formed this kind of like, I guess, bond across the different industries. And when I say industries, I'm talking like, CrossFit runners, your powerlifters, whatnot.
Right.
So we saw that, and from there it grew, right? So I think that's the first time when we first had our first events when people actually got to meet me in person and kind of see, I guess, the guy behind the mirror is what I was told. That was the vision of it, man, and it's been going well. The state, I would say, has embraced us. The city of San Antonio has embraced us, and now little by little, Dallas, Houston, Corpus, Austin has started to kind of open up their doors to us more and more. So yeah, hopefully that kind of answers kind of the question.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's great. And yeah, so how has that expansion, what launched the expansion to different cities? Was it people reaching out to you all just via, seeing your page and things like that? Or was it more of you all actually going out to events such as the touchdown at the district thing that we had that you all came to? What was more of, I'm trying to understand, because for me to have seen you all go from, I think I started following you when it was somewhere around like 8,000-ish, and to see you go from that to it was like 12 or something like that, like this, and people, that means people really care about what you're doing because they're actually telling other people versus just sending whatever content it may be. And so I'm interested in how that spread throughout the state of Texas.
So I think the way it worked and why it spread, and even done, I hear people talk about like how quickly it spread, and I look back and it spread pretty quickly, but sometimes I laugh because I see sometimes these other pages, just followers of ours as well, where one day, 2,000 followers, next day they're like at 15, 20,000 followers.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Teach me, but I would say yes, we've grown, and I'm very grateful with the growth. I would say that the reason why I grew in the beginning, the strategy behind it was everybody that tagged us, referenced us, we made sure that we reposted them. And I got a lot of, pushback on that in the beginning. People didn't like that because they were like, well, what makes the page so special if you're just reposting everybody? And my response to that was really that's the purpose, is that we're supporting the people that support us back. And as grows, we can let off the pedal a little bit, I guess. But by doing that, it spread word of mouth, and we followed people back was a big key too. There's a lot of pages that we noticed that didn't follow back their followers, and so our intent in the beginning was we would always message that, hey, if you follow us, we'll follow you back. Also follow people as well. So that helped kind of, I guess, grow it across the state, more so heavily in San Antonio, of course, in the beginning. And like I said, we're kind of sprinkled across Texas now. So that would be kind of like how we grew, a little bit of both. People would see us on social media and invite us out to their gym or their facility or to events that they were having, like launching. A lot of times we got invited to like launch parties, I guess, for like certain facilities, supplement shops. And that helped grow and spread the word of mouth. And then from there came like influencers, brand ambassadors, people that wanted to wear the brand, wear the logo.
Right.
And that was kind of the key to the rest. I guess the recipe to the key, I guess.
Yeah.
Key.
So how, you know what, because when you start something like this, there's no telling what the result is going to be a day from now, a week from now, a year from now, 10 years from now. And so when you just look at it, and I know that from what I've experienced and the time we've spent together, you're a super grateful individual, and you're very, you're very self-aware, and, you take care of the people that take care of you. And, you're a very humble guy, but, so.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what is it that you noticed about your character or maybe not even your character, but the way that you went around building a team and just how you've approached this, what have you noticed about the industry and how it's welcomed you versus how it could have gone if you weren't such a, let's call it a consumer focused individual for now?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I'll kind of answer the pros with also the opportunities that I've had as well. So, our growth and kind of the way we expanded, for me personally, why I think it got the way it got was when I met people. First and foremost is that you're right. I'm very thankful, very humble with it. I didn't know what we had in our hands. When we went to our first few events, I actually personally would go up to individuals that I recognized from the social media page and say, hey, I recognize you, like you're so-and-so. And I know their Instagram hashtag or name. And people were like, how do you remember that? I was like, I don't know. I honestly don't remember their Instagram name. And I think that sparked even more interest for people to be like, wow, this person actually cares about the fans that are on the page. And you're right, very much thought about the consumer at the end of the day, like what's going to make them happy, what drives them. And then, like I told you, they're looking for a social community where they can kind of all hang out, get to know each other, and I want to create that platform for them. So, that was the mission, the goal. And, I guess, what was the other part of your question? I'm sorry. I'm losing.
That was, I get so wrapped up in that, but how has that impacted you in a positive way versus, the things that you've seen or you may have anticipated if you weren't the kind of person you are? Like if you're not consumer focused and just what you've seen as far as trends go in this industry, how can that negatively impact someone that's actually trying to take the same journey? Because, I want to be sure that when people watch these videos, I want to make sure they feel entertained, but especially the people in our industry. And that's why I want to make sure that I put certain people on these videos because, the humility and the self-awareness speaks volumes. And whenever people take those values and apply them to their lives, no matter in what form or fashion, I'm not saying you have to be nice all the time, but just that self-awareness and that humility and the understanding of what those are, it can transform people's lives, and it transformed mine, and I'm sure it transformed yours at some point in time. So I just want to know how, how you could see that actually is a true positive, positive impact, and what may have happened or things that you've seen happen to people that, don't approach it that way.
I would say that it happened to both sides. It happened to us, to be real with you, right? So now I remember the question. Now I apologize in the beginning. So here's the thing that happened, right? So in the beginning, we started off very strong. People supported people, and they still do. Not to say they don't, but I'll tell you that I'm a humble person. I'm a vulnerable person, and I will tell people that, I'll be the first to admit my mistakes. And, I'll tell you the truth that as we grew, I made mistakes here and there, right? I would tell you that I stepped out more in the public. I met people face to face. And there were some times that my, I would say my passion got wrapped up in things. And, you know, sometimes when you're in the public eye, I would say, not that by no means am I a celebrity or anything like that. It's just that at these events where there's like a couple hundred people, right? You may say something, you may do something that people see or hear, and they take it differently than what it actually was, or you didn't mean it a certain way.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that's something I've learned from. So I'll say that we've lost a few supporters along the way, just to be real.
Yeah.
Which we noticed, right? And we totally own up to the mistakes. I've reached out to people personally, you know, and I was new to it. You know, it's a year. We barely hit our year in March, so I was very brand new to it. So some people forgave it, right? Some people were like, "Hey, I understand you at this. You're kind of getting your feet wet a little bit." And some people didn't, right? They're like, shut the door, shut us out. And it's been that way. So for those that are listening, you know, forgive us, please. Like, in the beginning, it was great because you had that 100% support from every single individual person out there, which we appreciated and we still do to date. I would say the reason we had that was because, again, we made sure that we acknowledged everybody, we supported everybody. And the key to success was that we weren't out here to take anybody's business. And I think in the beginning, people were kind of, I guess, stutter stepping, put up a little barrier because they didn't quite know what HC Fitness was. They were like, well, what are you? You're trying to take over our business? You're trying to take over the industry? From across the state, to be real with you, with other similar like pages. They were like, hey, you're trying to take over the state. You're trying to take over the fitness industry. And it was not the case. It was like, no, we're totally not. Like, and you can tell by our page that that's not the case because we repost pretty much an apparel company that's out there. We repost every gym, every supplement company. And we were like, we're focused on unity in the fitness community. And that's how we started. And we still live by that now, is unity in the fitness community. So once people realized that, then the door started opening, the shield started coming down, the barriers started coming down, like, oh, okay, well, we welcome HC Fitness now because you're supporting everybody in the industry. And even though like we sell apparel, it doesn't matter. We still repost any apparel company that's out there because, again, there's so much out there in the industry for every gym goer out there, every fitness enthusiast. We're not going to take over the industry, guys. I mean, it's not going to happen, right? So we're a small little piece of the puzzle is what I call it. There's plenty of room for everybody. So once people understood that, that again fueled the growth for us and helped us continue to expand and grow in the community. And to date, people still see that is that it doesn't matter what brand you represent, it doesn't matter who you support. We support you regardless. Our own, we do the same for them as well. So they join other brands, they join other clothing brands. Doesn't matter to us. We still support them. And I think that speaks volumes to them and continues to help our growth.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the epitome of, you know, taking care of the people who take care of you. And, you know, this industry, so, you know, my dad, before he got into radio, he was in sales. And, you know, I remember him having a job at an eyeglass store. And after that, the only job I remember him having was at Optimum Nutrition. So he was one of their national sales reps.
I've heard of him.
And and this is back when, like, you know, dudes were really going out there and pushing protein and BCAAs, I mean, out of their trunks and stuff. I mean, the golden ages of all this. And so it's funny because he and all his good friends, his buddy Troy, his wife is, she was the, I believe, vice president of Lone Star Distribution. Mm-hmm. And her husband had American Fitness Wholesalers. Well, anyway, they were always in the Europa, you know, the private areas at the expos and doing all that. So I got to, you know, understand what this industry is on a culture level, way young.
Yeah.
So, you know, as I got older in the industry, my mind grew a lot quicker than most people's because you're not introduced to that side of things until you're 20, 21 years old and you start going to these expos. I had seen what all this was about when I was 12, 13, 15. So immediately when I get to the age that I'm trying to make things happen in that arena, because of how my mindset is now, I'm looking at it completely different. And so with that, there's a lot of pushback. And, you know, and me being so young, I say so young, I mean young as in just relative terms in the business world. But me being 23 to 25, talking about the industry and about how I'm going to flip it on its head, it's not going to go over well. And people, no matter how great the product or the service is, that's just, people aren't going to like that. And so
Yeah.
when I first moved back to Dallas, I got in a little quarrel at a gym. I'm not going to mention it this time. I've mentioned it many times, but because one of their, a bodybuilder, older guy, he was probably not older, but older than me. He was probably in his mid 30s, I believe, pushing 40. And so, I was training a friend of mine, and she works out there all the time. I'm new. They don't know who I am. And so, he comes up to me and he says, you can't be training here. We know who you are. Get out of here, this, that, and the other. And then, this kind of, it doesn't go back and forth because I don't engage, but he engages with my friend, and she's kind of, I can tell she's getting uncomfortable because it's 5 a.m, dude. There's people in here and you're making a scene and you're too big for all that, bro. Like, people are starting to probably feel uncomfortable themselves. And so, and this is when I say, this is why I've received pushback, because, I kept it cool. And then eventually he got to the point where he was like, man, you're making me hot, and kind of like started to huff and puff at her. And I was like, and so then I took it to where levels I shouldn't have taken it to. And I said some things I shouldn't have. I'm not going to say the exact words, but I basically told him to step back before this becomes something it doesn't need to be. And he walked away. And then the gym owner calls me later that day, and I told him, I know these guys. I know you. I know who you are. I know the people that know you. So, I'm not going to let someone threaten a woman that's with me whenever I understand what I did was wrong. I'll take accountability for training her there. And then, you have to reiterate that. And so that's what I've tried to do, is just go past all of the extra stuff that I put out there, because at this point, it isn't even worth, the confrontations. And that was actually my ESPN name, Confrontational Colin.
Really?
Yeah, it was. It was. And so, and that could be a moneymaker. It could also ruin a lot of things. And so, at this point, I'm consumer focused. I'm not Colin focused. I'm not, and that's why with the gassed up or passed up, I'm trying to make that more about a team and not about Colin. And so that's why, I want to make sure that the content I'm putting out is interviews like this, and it's the people around me that I'm trying to get put into, sponsorship positions and things like that. And so, and that's why I'm super intrigued on how you all operated and worked. Like, I've scrolled so many times. I can't even, there's a day that I scrolled for like 10 minutes, and then I got down to wherever I was, and then I got distracted and my phone went to sleep, and then it put me back at the top, and I was mad. But just watching.
Like, what's the recipe?
What is the recipe? It's like, and even because I'm super like digestive on this kind of information.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard of him, but Gary Vaynerchuk, he's someone that I started gathering a lot of content from whenever I started that ESPN podcast, because it was, I took a big step. I quit my job. I said, I'm going to really go after this. And it was pretty crazy. It was funny. I don't know if I should have quit that job, since that job was what was paying the ESPN programming time, but I was just so sure that I was going to get the sponsorships and do all of this. And, it was a great learning experience. And I had jobs on the back end that I could have taken that I eventually took to start getting money. But, but yeah, man. But like I said, it's all about just, for me, being consumer focused. And like the industry now, if you're going to flip it on its head, you have to do it very slowly and softly, and make sure that when it's on its head, people still feel good about how it looks upside down.
And I agree with you 100% on that. I think that was, again, the worry that some individuals may have had in the industry at first when we came out. We were trying to flip it. That was not the case at all. And we had to consistently repeat that, like, this is not what we're about. We're not going that direction. Even if it was, like, it's just not going to happen. There's so much out there for everybody. And let's just all get along was really the model we were sticking to. Like, let's just, we're stronger together than separated. And do we wish that could be the case for everyone? yes, but some people aren't with it, but the ones that are, hey, great, we appreciate you. Thank you for supporting our vision, and we're going to do everything we can to support you as well.
Right.
Yeah, 100% agree with your statement.
Yeah, man. And pushing that love is always going to go further than pushing hate, because people feel a lot better at the end of the day when they're happy.
That was one of my rules, was I will not get into a social media quarrel, as we may say. And I can honestly say that nobody can ever say that HC Fitness has ever bashed anyone, talked bad about anybody on social media.
That's great.
What we do, right? We have not, done that ever. So, I mean, there's been people that try to test our buttons and push our buttons with certain content. We're calling us out on things. And I've actually responded to a few of them personally. And as I've talked to them, they cool down, they relax. They're like, wow, man, I didn't expect you to respond that way. Like, I thought you were going to come at me all hard, and I was like, no, I've had a couple like that. And I said, in all honesty, man, we're open to the feedback. We're open to everybody's differences. By no means are we perfect, right? We're trying to put out content that works for everyone, and it's hard. People hashtag us every single day, and to find what you're going to post, because in all honesty, we can probably post maybe 8 times in a day, and although people say that's a lot, when you look at the number of times we're hashtagged or tagged, it's actually not. Like, it's minimal, the people that we're reposting. So when we do that and personally message these people that have complaints or feedback for us, they respect that, and then they support us even more so and say, hey, you know what, I understand, I get it. So yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, man, being personable and being real. So had I taken the other route and maybe bashed them back and maybe said a few choice words as to why maybe we're doing this or that, it wouldn't have gone well. It would have just escalated there. And again, there's worse things in life, man. That's just not what I'm about.
No doubt. And that's love. That's respect. That's great. So what would you, if you had to choose one word, what would you describe, yourself, your team as in one word?
I would say community. Community, man. That's what I would describe it as at the end of the day. And people ask that all the time, what are you? And we always say we're community. And the next question is always, what does HC stand for? And we're like, it's Honorable Community Fitness.
Nice.
All right.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love that. All right. Yeah. So I have one more question for you. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to have a little fun. I was thinking this earlier. And so I'm going to give you a few quick questions. And well, really, it's this or that more so. And you just got to answer it real quick. So I got 5 of them after this. But, so through all this, have you been cooking a lot, or have you been ordering in, or what's your food?
The whole COVID-19. I think that was, so, through this, it's been interesting, right? Life's changed. So I've been in quarantine for 6 weeks now, I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say the company I work for did a great thing, had us work from home immediately, sooner than we were even expected to be quarantined in the city. Which I appreciate. So
can I hold on? I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Can I pause you right there? I want to touch on one other note. So you have a full-time job?
Yeah, I have a full-time job. Yes.
And you created HC Fitness while having a full-time job, right?
Yes, so, very, very busy full-time job.
Okay, so I'm sure you thought about it before the day that you decided to start it.
Uh-huh.
All right. So what was the progression in thinking, because I think this will be very useful for people. What was the progression in the thought of, I want to do this, to I think I should, to I'm doing it? And, because with a full-time job, especially if you're already acknowledging that it's a busy job, that could be a daunting task, and there could be all kind of psychological warfare going on. So, how did that progress? And, I want to congratulate you on, doing that, because that's not an easy feat to accomplish. So
thank you, man. I appreciate that. So a lot of people don't know that, right? Sometimes people ask me like, oh, you don't do this full time? Like, no, this was, when I started it was more of I just wanted to create this social platform, right? And have people get together and hang out, have fun. And then it grew, right? So, so it's definitely tough to manage. I'll tell you, along the way, I've gathered help, most recently, and I have like 1 or 2 like influencers that'll go in and help me, like at least manage maybe the stories. But the majority, 90% of the time that it's been around, like I've managed the posts, the stories, etc. And I'm thankful that the help I've gotten here and there sometimes, I'm really grateful for it because it did help out. But that's the other tough part to it as well, is that trying to figure out what content to post, and I always go back to that. And it's true because you got to mix it up. It can't always be the same. And then, we tell people, I always say we, right? Because it's a team, is how I see it at the end of the day. But we tell people use our hashtags, right? Or tag us in your story. That's the easiest way to get seen, because if you're thinking that we're scrolling and looking for content, that's not the case. In all honesty, it's the hashtags, man. Hashtags is the easiest way to find you. So yeah, as it's evolved, it's like I said, during having a full-time job, it's been tough, but you have to balance it. And then don't forget that I also have, my life, my family, my home. So balancing that too is very tough. So it is business at the end of the day, and especially now that we have apparel, that we have and that we work on now and push out. It's very challenging, but like I said, the community's been patient with us. And now that we're in quarantine, that's been another challenge in itself. I think you asked the question earlier, is like, how do you keep people engaged?
Yeah.
How has the community responded during, COVID-19?
Yeah.
I would say we were worried about that. It's like, whoa, where's the content going to go now, right? What's it going to switch to? And as any good company out there, and I consider it as a company because we have our LLC, so we're legit now.
Nice.
We had to adapt to the environment, so we quickly started adapting to the workout at home, right? What are people doing at home? They're doing in quarantine? What's their favorite workout? We did that. People switched to different social media outlets as well, and how do we incorporate that? But the community has actually been very responsive. We've had people message us and DM us that, hey, we're so glad that you're still posting content. It's kept us motivated. It's kept me working out at my home when I see these other people working out, and they're still having the Transformation Tuesday, right? They're still evolving. So I think that, it's been a great response from the community. Thank God, no really personal impact to like our brand itself through COVID-19, because it's just moved into a different environment. It's gone from the gym to home to outdoors now.
Yeah.
And people still have content that they're posting and sharing with us, and we're resharing it back. And it's gotten a little bit more personable now, so it could be as simple as a walk in the park, right? Eating their favorite meal. So how it's changed.
And I'm super happy that we've got more to like those walks in the park and things like that, and not so much, because it's a lot. I went completely dark whenever the quarantine in Dallas was first initiated, because one, I wanted to see what people in Dallas did. I wasn't going to be just mixed in the bunch of whatever happens, because no one has any idea what's going to happen. This is a completely new arena that we all have to face on a marketing perspective. And so I wanted to watch. And so I watched, and
were you watching HC?
Yeah, I was actually. I was watching more of you all than anyone else, because everybody else was frustrating me out here. Because there was so a plethora of content put out that nobody could follow. I mean, we're calling kettlebell and dumbbell workouts at home workouts during the first 3 weeks of quarantine. That's not logical. Okay, maybe a month out, but first 3 weeks, Amazon's on back order. You can't really get anything from the stores because it was bought on the first 3 days and things like that. And
For sure.
I kind of took a step back, but now coming out of it, I mean, there's so much room for personable content, and I feel like people are now more so receptive to that, because they figured out, okay, if I just take in a bunch of BS all day, I'm not going to really feel good about the time I spent on this device that I look at for about 12 hours over the course of a day that I'm locked down on. And so it's more about, I feel like people's relationships with each other now via content have gotten super deep. And so
I agree.
If you can touch someone's heart, or you can make them laugh or something like that, they stick so much. They're much more willing to stick with you and engage and share and do everything like that. So yeah, man, it has been a roller coaster of content creation, but I made all kinds of stuff, and it's just sitting in this vault. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, we're 6 weeks in, bro. I think you're past the saturation. All this, you gotta go ahead and release it. But even with all that, I'm like, yeah, but I kind of want to get these videos with, you know, other people in the industry so that we can get different mindsets out there, because my people don't need to just be listening to me and the people that that are like me and whoever Instagram puts them to. You know, there's a reason that I surround myself with the people I do, and I think that others will gain beneficial information from these talks. So
yeah, 100% agree. I think it's a great thing you're doing, having talks like this with people in the industry.
Yeah.
A couple of these already, and you know, honestly, people like to hear content from individuals in the industry from different aspects of it. You know, definitely a different aspect of it, a social media aspect. And sometimes they want to know how you tick, you know, and how do you think, because they want to understand the person, you know, behind the brand and who they're supporting at the end of the day. So I always tell people, probably not what you expected, but my name's Santiago. Nice to meet you. And you get to talking to them from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's what's up. So with you doing a lot of cooking, what's your favorite at-home meal so far?
Why you know, honestly, at-home cooking has been, it's been white rice and ground beef, and it's not very plain, right? But and I'll add with some veggies as well. Yeah. My wife's the cook artist is what I call it, and she gets her hands on it, just tastes amazing. And she's been making that lately because she eats healthy. She's a vegetarian, so encompassed with that, I'm actually going to eat healthy as well. So my favorite meal so far, you know, and I'm not going to lie, we order food right through DoorDash and try to support local restaurants, keep business as much as we can. So we'll order like a few things here and there. But yeah, it's been interesting, man, with this quarantine, you know, just definitely a lot more at-home cooking. Social media, you know, I've had a little bit of more time, but I mean, my work keeps me busy as well. Like I told you, full-time job. So I get on it a little bit more during the evening time periods versus the day. But yeah, that's kind of been my thing so far. Going for walks, like when I can, around, right? When we can. And it's funny to see so many people outdoors around, I'd say 5 to about 6:30 p.m. Everybody's out there in the neighborhood walking around.
Everybody, yeah, because if nothing else, you just got to get outside. You just have to breathe the fresh air and just shake yourself out of that at-home scene for a second. Okay, cool. So
be thankful for everything you got, right? I think that
everything. Let's see here. All right, there we go. It's freezing up on me. All right, so
all good.
I'm gonna blitz you with a few questions now. You let me know when you're ready.
All right, man. Am I able to skip
some? If you have to skip one, you can pass it if you want to. Pass it if you want to. All right, so cool. For this round, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna stick to any any kind of particular genre or anything. It's just life questions, just boom, boom. All right, so
sounds good.
All right, here we go. So you got to pick one: beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Mountains, okay.
Yep.
Eat a worm or swim with sharks?
Swim with sharks.
Okay. Are you an adrenaline junkie?
No, man. Just
no. Okay. Just not a fan of eating worms either, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to swim with some sharks.
For sure, I'm down. I feel it. Okay. All right. So, if you're vacationing, would you want to stay in the Americas or would you want to go somewhere in Asia?
Asia.
Asia. Okay. Nice. Yeah. So, if you had to choose one to eat for the rest of your life, is it going to be Hispanic influenced food or is it going to be American influenced food?
It'll be Hispanic, and I'll tell you exactly what it'd be if I got my choice, right? It's going to be unhealthy, but if it's all the rest of my life, I'd say carne salad tacos with cheese.
Okay. I ain't even gonna lie, man. I'm right now. I won't say vegan. I've been literally 99.9% vegan since we've been locked down. 99% or 98 before that.
That's awesome, man.
Last like 6 months, 8 months. But yeah, it's just been, it started as, it literally in the brain, the seed that was planted was I ate, so much processed food and just literally anything that I could get in front of because, and what was the reason? So the reason was for these football teams that, what did they do for me in the end? Well, I ended up getting a couple injuries and things like this that ended up not getting taken care of. And then just started taking myself down the line. And I was like, man, you know what? Let me just do my body a favor and kind of let go of some of the weight. Because I was probably about 240 whenever I decided to start cutting meat out. And it was a pretty unhealthy 240. It was a breathe super heavy. And it wasn't that I was out of shape, but it was just my body continuously carrying that and then going through all these workouts, but feeding myself improperly was just messing with my respiratory system.
Right, for sure.
So eventually I cut it out and still was consuming a little bit too much dairy. And so I realized that dairy was actually, and people might think that I'm crazy whenever I say this, but it was to the point that whenever I completely cut everything out and went vegan, or I'll say, truly plant-based. I did that. And the moment that I introduced either chicken or dairy back into my diet, there was an influx of just mucus buildup. And it wasn't like there was nothing else different about my day. It was just the fact that I ate chicken and dairy. And so that was kind of alarming for me, especially with someone that's had, asthma for years and years, and asthma that had put me in, pneumonia and things like that. And so bronchitis issues. So I was like, man, maybe I wouldn't have to be on a ventilator and things like that all the time if I just took care of, what takes care of me. And just got more conscious because I also wasn't eating a lot of vegetables or anything like that. It was just, anything and everything I could get my hands on. So,
so everybody, most people's cases, we don't eat as many vegetables as we should, man.
No. Yeah. And so
I agree.
Yeah, that's why I started doing that. But yeah, I don't even know how I just got to talking about veganism other than we were talking about food.
Favorite foods.
Yeah, so
with cheese, man.
Yeah. So I had it down in San Antonio. My little brother lives down there. I was at his mom's and she made me breakfast one day. Man, the carne asada was so crazy. I swear, if there's one thing that I miss, that is the one thing that I miss. I'll let everything else go. If someone can make an exact replica of that plate, just make it.
Man, it's good.
Yo, it's beautiful. If you haven't had it yet, you need to go try it. Go down to San Antonio. We'll make sure we put you on with somebody that does put it down. All right. All right, a few more. All right, so let's go. I'm gonna go foods again. All right, so pasta or rice?
Ooh, yeesh. I like both, man.
Yeah,
Mexican rice is kind of tough, man. I'm gonna say Mexican rice. If it's a choice.
That'll work. Freebirds or Chipotle?
Ooh, Freebirds all the way.
Same here, brother.
I eat them both, but honestly, Freebirds just is. Oh man, you can't.
Freebirds hits me different.
It is. It's just different. Chipotle feels more. I would say. I hope nobody kills me for this, but it feels more fast food style. I guess. Like, it tastes good, but I don't know. Freebirds seems just authentic, like made on the grill. You just taste the difference.
Exactly.
Fresh. I mean, I don't know.
It's all love, Chipotle. All love.
It is. It's all love for Chipotle, man. I eat it religiously. I do like it, but if I had choice, Freebirds all the way. To me, it's kind of like, how would I compare it? Subway versus Jimmy John's. Subway just has a certain taste to it, but Jimmy John's is a little bit more fresh to me. That's just my.
Yeah, no. Everybody's entitled to have one. Okay, so, all right. So, are you spicy or are you more on the sour side of things, sweet and sour?
You know what? I would say spicy now, and that's due to my wife. I didn't eat any spices before, but her family and her background comes from very spice-based food. So everything now has some type of spice in it. So now I actually ask for it
Nice.
recently.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right, man. Last one I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna try to make this a good one. So, if you have to go with the dessert, are you a dessert guy?
Yeah, I'm very much a
Yeah.
dessert.
Okay. Me
I'm
too, brother. Me
very
too.
much dessert and candies guy.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So, are you going cake or pie?
Cake,
Cake.
chocolate cake, chocolate on
Chocolate cake.
chocolate. Yep.
Oh, there you go. There's the answer right there.
Chocolate. I'm a chocolate fan, man, all the way. Anything chocolate, I love it. I don't understand when people don't like chocolate. I'm like, you not like chocolate.
It doesn't make sense to me. My girlfriend doesn't like chocolate, and I want to make like marbled chocolate cheesecake. Oh, matter of fact, speaking of cheesecake, so I make a vegan cheesecake, and I'll send you the recipe for it. And dude, if you're a fan of
All
cheesecake,
right.
when I tell you this is phenomenal, cheesecake is my favorite dessert. So for me to be able to
Uh-huh.
replicate it and it tastes, and it's made out, it's based on the cashews are the base, and so you just I'll send you
Right.
the recipe and I'll make sure I post it for everyone that
All right.
sees
Cool.
this so that they can, go run and grab that. But that cheesecake is
Yeah, man.
phenomenal. And, I'll make sure I get that to you. But you got to try that.
Awesome.
Santiago, thank you for doing
Yep.
this interview, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's good to step out of quarantine, I would say, virtually here.
Yeah, for sure.
Been a while, so I appreciate the time, and it was good talking to someone here. And I'm all about putting out content for the fitness community out there, and get to know a little bit more about you, about me, and kind of how
Yeah.
this kind of working and stuff.
No doubt, man. We'll be in touch. Like I said, I was planning on trying to get y'all out in April, but that's
Yeah,
obviously not happening. So we'll keep in
yeah,
touch, and we'll manufacture something for the people together over the summer months and make sure that
yeah, for sure.
we get the two cities intertwined, brother.
Somehow, some way, man. So once this is all done, people are like, "Are you gonna go back to having events again?" We're like, that's the goal. We're
Yeah,
probably gonna kick off social events. Get everybody together again.
yeah,
Go from there.
yeah. Let's do it. All
All
right.
right, cool. Well, have a good night, man.
You
Take care.
too.
Be safe out there, and we'll chat
Likewise. All right, sounds good. Tell everyone I said hello and best wishes to you and your family.
soon.